What is going on, Xbox and PC fans? It's Josh back again. Actually somewhat conscious today. I have been a little bit tired the last few videos, so I apologize for my monotone, but anyway, yeah, feeling not too bad here this evening, and I want to talk a little bit about some possibilities moving forward here with just console hardware in general. Obviously this is an Xbox and PC channel, so I'm going to talk mostly about the Xbox One, but this could pertain, to the PlayStation brand as well, and even possibly Nintendo. But yeah, the root of the conversation here today is going to be continually available new hardware, new console hardware specifically. So what I mean by that is Microsoft and Sony are kind of keen, right now to try and provide some new hardware, some new fuel to the fire, if you will, for consumers of games that like to have easy boxes you can just plug in and play your games, and you can get a good experience. Right now with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, especially the Xbox One having Xbox Live, is a fantastic backbone for multiplayer gaming and just overall services and service delivery for apps, etc. But again, if there were a different approach, would you guys be willing to hear it? Would you guys be willing to spend your money if these companies like Microsoft, like Sony, as opposed to having one console SKU or number of SKUs, different size hard drives is really what they have today, though. There's no variation in the actual performance of what's in the box in terms of graphics output between different PlayStation 4 models or different Xbox One models. What I'm talking about here is if Microsoft were to say, listen, consumers, we are very, very comfortable providing a number of different SKUs for any given product with varying levels of performance, like we offer in our Surface tablet lineup, like we offer with our Surface Book lineup, like we offer with different products that they manufacture that are PCs that they can get different parts for and say, hey, listen, if you want to spend, let's say it's $400 on a new Xbox every year, you're going to get an upgrade certainly every year, but let's say they make that kind of middle of the road in terms of choice. Let's say they had a $300 Xbox, a $400 Xbox, a $500 Xbox, and maybe one for $600 if somebody really wanted to go crazy and just get the absolute best possible quote-unquote console experience. Well, they could very easily do that. And Sony, again, they manufacture all kinds of stuff, televisions, the computer thing. I don't know if they shut that division down or not, but they are definitely accustomed to making numerous SKUs as well, with varying hardware performance, just as Microsoft is. So, again, question is, if this were the norm moving forward, if these companies were to provide multiple SKUs of any given console or brand of console, really, would you guys be receptive to this? How much money would you invest, if any, and how regularly would you guys kind of turn over and get a new box? Would it be once every 2 years you go out and buy the box for the top amount possible and just try and retain that performance? Would you spend $300 every year and just try and get a little incremental boost in performance? For me personally, I'm a PC guy as well. Obviously, Xbox and PC is my bag, so I'm kind of used to being more agile, I guess you could say. PC owners have been kind of accustomed to this for a long time, being able to drop in a new piece of hardware, take the old one out, and sell it for whatever you can, and really not have to worry too much about that gap. Usually it's pretty reasonable if you're selling an old video card, for instance, or an old computer, and you're trying to buy something that's newer and more, I guess relative, for today's games. And that would be the same way for these consoles. Unless you had a very, very old console, if they had multiple SKUs available all the time, and every year they did a refresh on these things, you could very well sell, your year or 2 year old, just like you would your phone, and still get a reasonable value for that console, and put it towards something that's newer and get some better technology. Just like with your phones, your TVs, your tablets, other electronic devices that we all have, there's certainly no obligation to go out and buy the top-ended SKU or to go buy these things every year. But if you want, and if you are that kind of individual that wants to maintain that top-tier performance and not have to worry so much about the intricacies of PC gaming, it could be a phenomenal idea. Recently Alienware tried their hand at this. Steam and Valve were really kind of promoting just last year these Steam boxes that essentially were, they weren't really kind of dictated by Valve in terms of what they should have in them and their price points. They really let their third-party manufacturers, assemblers really, like Alienware, go nuts in terms of configurations of different hardware and pricing, etc. But these would be more console-like, and what I mean by that is they'd be more kind of strict on the things that they had in them, with certainly some variation there. But with the UWP platform that Microsoft has created here, with these universal applications and games, they'd be able to run on any of these different configurations of hardware, and they would be scalable. Did a video on this a little while ago about UWP and the Windows platform and services, what that means for Xbox and PC gamers, kind of uniting the development cycle for Xbox and PC games alike, making it just one development for essentially an Xbox game and a PC game. You can run the application or the game on any UWP platform, including Windows 10, Xbox One, and there are certainly others in the device family. Even phones with adequate hardware at one point, or tablets, could certainly run these games, applications as well. They share UWP core elements, then it's certainly possible. And just like I said in that video, just like Microsoft says on their official website, you can you can actually take advantage of and use specific features of basically any additional hardware that you may have. So whether you're running it, like I say, on an Xbox One or an Xbox One 4K, whatever the new SKU may be, or if they do have different variations of this hardware available all the time, it's scalable. It'll run on a PC, it'll run on an Xbox, which is essentially just a PC with customized Windows 10 OS on it. It'll run on those platforms and it will scale accordingly. So whether you have an Xbox One original or whether you have some kind of future variation of this, it really won't matter in terms of compatibility. x86 hardware, you're going to be able to run these games regardless of quote-unquote which generation Xbox that you have. Again, full backward compatibility because of just the architectures being used in these machines, and full scalability as well. So you're going to be able to do things like increased resolution, other features. Be interesting to see kind of how developers would handle this in terms of enabling different graphical effects that may be possible on different versions of hardware. But it's certainly possible. And honestly, it's plausible. These companies are starting to see the fact that consumers don't want to wait 5 or 10 years for a new piece of hardware. They're seeing the fact that customers are going out and buying devices on a yearly basis, or a bi-yearly basis, or every other year, what have you. And again, as with your phone, as with your TV, your laptop screens, your tablets, your watches, all kinds of stuff, you're certainly not obligated to go out and buy these things. And the Xbox, at least, I don't know about PlayStation, I don't know what kind of platform they have for universal development and compatibility, but with UWP, with Microsoft having made this framework that make these games compatible across devices, across generations, I don't see any problem or any reason that they wouldn't be able to do this or want to do this, for consumers. I mean, giving consumers more choice, I think is awesome, and giving us the ability to have, if you want to have a killer box for $600-700 and it's a console, but it's very, very easy to use and it still has crazy 4K graphics, I mean, I don't see why the fuck not. Why wouldn't you want to have that if you can afford it? I think it's awesome that they would be able to enable that for people and still maintain compatibility with the guys that bought an Xbox One 3 years ago at launch. Maybe running at a lower resolution or what have you, but it's the exact same game, the exact same applications, and for developers, you're only giving them more reason and more incentive to develop games and applications for your platform, your ecosystem across a range of devices. So, how do you guys feel about this? If you can, let me know, what kind of hardware would you expect to see for certain price points? What would be a real draw for you? You know, what would make you want to pull the trigger and spend $300, $400, $500, $700 on a new machine? You know, what would it take in terms of performance and functionality? Is it virtual reality? Do you want 4K gaming? Do you want solid state storage? You know, all these things are a possibility, and you know, maybe it comes down to customizable. You go on Microsoft.com, you customize an Xbox however you want to do it. You want solid state storage, you want 2 terabytes, you want the best GPU they have available. You know, you go on Dell, build a computer the same way. There's no reason this can't work for consoles as well. But you know, just my opinion, fellas. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments. If you could, rate, share, subscribe, be much appreciated. See you guys in the next one. See ya.